Hi everybody, my name is David. I'm a KOK-PLAY Frontier from the Genesis Group. I want you guys to watch this clip of an interview with Lynn Alden, and I'm gonna kind of integrate what she's talking about with, basically she's talking about how the way the U.S. Monetary system set up with the petrodollar that is really just hurting the U.S. economy. However, I want to explain how, with KOK-PLAY, we won't have this problem. Okay, we won't have this problem. But here, just listen.
Is this kind of pushed and been good for white collar workers, but at the cost of blue collar workers?
Exactly, and especially the upper echelon of white collar workers. And so it's been basically the way I would describe it is um, let's say we had a global currency. Like let's say it's the past, and I'm pricing my products and services in grams of gold, right? And so I make machinery. You're over in another country. You're my competitor. You make a similar machinery, and we price it in grams of gold, right? So if if something happens and say let's say there's a natural resource discovery in my country, right? It does not in any way impact the fact that I'm selling this machinery in grams of gold. There's no kind of impact on my business. However, if we instead are selling our machinery in our currencies, including to a global market, and let's say there's a gigantic natural resource discovery in my country, right? So we start exporting a ton of oil. Well, that's going to basically improve our trade surplus, and it's probably going to strengthen our currency, and so it's actually going to make my exports, my machines are now more expensive for most of the world to buy compared to your machines. And the problem is that because my employees are paid in that currency, my liabilities are denominated in that currency. It's harder for me to cut my prices in this currency to compete with you.
So here, the point that she's saying is, let's say if the whole world, we didn't have fiat currencies, we didn't have the US dollar, we didn't have, the euro, the yen, the yuan, the won in Korea, whatever, just any currency. Let's say you didn't have currencies and we're just trading straight off of gold. All right. Well, the way it'll work is, despite how well your country is doing in terms of um, exports in comparison to imports, it's not going to affect your sales in the industry that you're in. So let's say, for example, you are in exporting furniture, but your country has a massive export in chips, semiconductor chips. Now, because your country's export of semiconductor chips is so high because of the currency, using currency, the more people have to buy up your currency to buy your products, then the stronger your currency gets. So then your currency becomes more expensive. And so now, you're in the furniture industry, not the semiconductor industry. However, because the currency went up so high, that it's harder for you to export your furniture to different countries because your country's currency is too strong. And that had nothing to do with you. It had to do with another industry in your country, right? What if your country had oil? Well, your oil, because everybody needs to buy your oil, your currency is really strong. But in your business, the business you're in, that industry has nothing to do with the oil industry. You're in the furniture industry. And so it's hard for you to sell your furniture because the currency of your country is too strong. And that's what's going on with a lot of countries, especially that's what's going on with America. And I'll explain why. But imagine if you just had gold, there were no currency, and you're just trading with gold or silver, then it wouldn't matter. You're just trading in grams of gold. So it's not going to affect there's no currency to make your country's currency stronger or weaker off of exports and imports. It's just gold, and gold is just universal price. So, it's just a set price. So it would, however well your country's doing in one industry, it's not going to affect the price of gold in your country, and therefore, it is not going to impact you, and it's going to help you. Now, the reason why the US dollar is so strong is because, you have the petrodollar. So the agreement they made with Saudi Arabia and other countries, oil producing countries, is they have to trade using US dollars. Right? So, technically, because they have US, everybody's buying up US dollars to do international transactions, then as more people are buying up US dollars, the strength of the dollar goes up. And then because the strength of the dollar is going up, what happens? Well, US corporations, companies producing products or services, it's harder for them to sell their products and services overseas because other overseas currencies are weaker than the US dollar. So what happens is then the US products made in the US or services made in the US, they're too expensive. And these other countries would just buy similar products or services from another country where, it's going to cost less because the other country's currencies are not as strong as the dollars. And so you made it really hard for US companies to compete. US corporations companies that produce products and provide services, it's hard for them to compete internationally against other countries unless they produce products in other countries to offset the costs, to make it cheaper for them to be able to compete with other countries. And that's why you have so many jobs that went overseas in America. All right. And that's why, technically fiat currencies, especially the petrodollar, the petrodollar making everyone use US dollars to buy oil and commodities and do trade, is good in the sense that it gives the United States a lot of power. So you could say it's good for the government, it's good for at least the very wealthy, because they could take advantage of that. However, it's terrible for the average American, because what happens is the average American is losing his job or her job. The average American is basically they're going in more and more debt. That's why even last year in 2021, America hit an all-time high in the trade deficit, $1 trillion. Why? Because it's just much better for U.S. citizens to buy overseas products at a cheaper price than to buy U.S. products. Let alone you had all the workers stoppage and all that because of COVID. And so that's what's the problem with, you have an international trade of imports and exports, and then you have a currency that becomes too strong because everybody is forced to use it for, international trade. And granted, there are some good points of that which strengthens the US dollars. They could use the petrodollar as leverage, like they want to use it to sanction Russia, right? Biden, technically current US President Biden, he had the right idea. He wanted to take Russia out of the SWIFT system and cut them off. But then the Western nations told President Biden, no, we don't want to take Russia off the SWIFT system because we need to buy their oil. Russia has to sell their oil in dollars, right? And they need to be in the SWIFT system, the whole international banking system. even though Biden was like, no, let's cut these guys off to really hurt them, with the sanctions. But the European countries, some of them were really against it. And that's the whole thing that Trump was mad about when he was president. Hey, you guys want me to protect you, but you keep on buying billions of dollars of oil from Russia. Why am I protecting you when you're making Russia wealthy? What something ain't right. And even now, Biden wants to put sanctions, hard sanctions, like cutting Russia off the SWIFT system. But Western countries, again, they're saying, no, don't do it. I mean, that's just so, it's a jam. But that's how, America can really hurt countries, because you have to use the dollars. They can control the SWIFT. And like they do to Iran and North Korea. And that's why those countries are relatively, poor. But once again, there's a price to pay. Your currency becomes too strong, and your citizens are losing jobs. You're constantly in a trade deficit. You have a bigger gap between the very wealthy and the poor because of that system. So there's a good and a bad to everything. Now, why did I go over all that to talk about KOK, the KOK platform? Well, this is the thing. When it comes to digital assets, well, currencies, not assets. I'm sorry. NFTs will be considered an asset. You could consider currencies as an asset, like the US dollar or the yen, yuan, euro. You could consider all those currencies as an asset if you're holding them. But when it comes to digital currencies, you see these platforms, they don't have an import-export. I'm going to say it again. They don't have an import-export, right? When you look at digital platforms that they have their own currencies, they have a utility case for them. They're not importing, exporting goods and services. And therefore, it doesn't matter, how strong your currency gets for your digital platform. As the stronger the currency gets, the better it is for the people who are in the platform. You get what I'm saying? Because KOK-COIN is not trading and doing anything with, other people. I'm sorry if you're saying that. Right now, I am adopting a dog. Not adopting. I'm fostering a dog. And because I'm fostering a dog, there's some other people that want to adopt this dog. And that's the woman you just saw. She runs the agency where I foster the dog from. But anyway, sorry about that. Now, so what you're seeing is like, yeah, KOK-COIN, the KOK platform is not importing, exporting any goods and services with other platforms. So there's no trade, right? There's going to be no trade deficit. So no matter what, the stronger the KOK currencies get, the better it is for us, the people who are part of the KOK platform. You guys understand what I'm saying? It's not like in the world we live in, where depending on how strong your currency gets, it's harder for people in other countries to buy your products. And at the same time, sure, if your currency is very strong, it's easier for you to buy other nations' products. But it's hard for those nations to buy your products in your country. But we don't have that type of trade deal. We don't have a trading import-export type of deal in digital, in these platforms. So that's why KOK-COIN really benefits when you have all these advancements, developments, everything with KOK-COIN. I mean, it's just amazing because more people are going to be investing into KOK-COIN. They're investing into the platform, but also they're buying up the KOK-COINs, to invest, hoping that the currency will get stronger. Remember, when you buy coins, it's not like stocks. You don't own part of the company, right? You're not buying stocks. What you're doing is you're buying the currency of the platform. Okay, you're buying the currency of the platform. However, because there's only a set amount of currencies, that the more currencies you own, you know what I'm saying? You're not a legal owner, as of you don't own a stock, you don't own part of the company, but you are a holder of the currency, which gives you, there's a lot of power to that. And as the stronger the currency gets in value, because so many people are buying into the currency, because they believe that the platform, imagine, is a country, and they believe that that country is getting so developed, that it's going to be so advanced, that everybody wants to move and live in that country. Everybody wants to produce products and services in that country. And it's just going to be constant upgrades, the infrastructure, all of that into this country. And then imagine this country is a platform, but not only that, the platform is continuing where you can actually use the currencies into, outside the platform. And so then more people are going to want to buy the currency, because then they can go to stores and they could get credit cards to use the currency to purchase stuff, not only on the platform, outside the platform. And if that's a country, you're going to have so many people wanting to move into that country. And that's what you're seeing. You have so many people trying to get into the KOK-PLAY platform. And then on top of that, okay, think of it this way. On top of that, it doesn't hurt you, the person who's part of the platform. Because as the purchasing power of KOK-COIN gets stronger, it's helping you who's on the platform. As of in a country, if the purchasing power of the currency gets stronger, it hurts you as an employee and worker, because no one could buy your stuff because they have to pay it in your currency, which it costs too much in comparison to theirs. But with KOK-COIN, we don't have that type of situation. And so as KOK-COINs go up, it's easier to purchase products and services on the platform and outside the platform. And that's why, I wanted to share that from that interview to this, okay? And why there's so much, it's such a great future for KOK-COIN. It's such a great future for KOK-COIN, the platform, because there's just so much advancements. You look at the last couple of videos I put up with Medium, which is, the big sister, the mother company of KOK-COIN, the KOK platform, KOK-PLAY, and just, moving to Busan, all the advancements, all the MOUs, everything with the banks, Indonesia, these different countries in America, they're always just advancing and always just constantly improving and trying to make things better, and making all the right deals with other companies, getting all the recognitions from even, Busan, second biggest city in Korea, and all of that. It really just tells you where KOK-PLAY is headed as a platform, and how there's so many people wanting to join the platform, you know, and yet for a platform with a digital currency, the stronger it gets, the currency gets, actually the better it is. Unlike the world we live in the fiat currency with international trade, the stronger the US dollar gets, it's actually worse for US workers, you know? So I want, and that just goes for any country. And that's why, honestly, you just have so many countries trying to buy up US dollars to strengthen, supply and demand. The more you buy something, the stronger it gets. So they're trying to strengthen the US dollar while weakening their currency. So that way, US consumers will constantly buy their country's current products and services, while people in their country, it's harder for them to buy US products and services. So there's always a trade deficit for America. Well, you don't have to worry about that with the KOK platform. None of that exists. That's why it's so great, especially when you have a platform that's constantly improving. Keep that in mind. So I just thought I want to share that. I hope you guys grasp that. Maybe you might have to listen to this, a couple times to really let that sink in. Look, everyone, please take good care of yourself. Okay, take good physical care of yourself. Prepare for what could be a pretty tough year in 2022. Pray for Ukraine, for their safety, and that all of that would just end. Hopefully within a month or two. And yeah, just prepare for more inflation. More shortages depending on where you live. And take good care of yourself, physical care of yourself, spiritual care of yourself, mental care of yourself. All right. Whatever you do, don't ever think about something crazy like suicide, or you're depressed or alone. You're not alone. I love you. I don't know where you at. I don't know where you are, what part of the world you're in, but you're not alone. I love you. I'm praying for you. I'm praying for all of you. God bless y'all. Really, God bless y'all. And KOK on.